Think of what the customer wants. Sure. I can't believe I am writing this. But here we go. We got a 2-for-1 special on Malicious Compliance today. I work at a print hub, working the printers and adjusting files and such. I put in a lot of work to deliver a perfect product, despite the issues that plague the shop, and always ensure that everything I produce is quality checked. This isn't due to me putting pride in my work, however, but rather my boss nitpicks nearly everything. If something is off-center by a millimeter, it's redone. If there is a small scratch on one poster in a pack of 5, the whole order is redone. Now, don't get me wrong. The boss is a good person, not a Karen or anything. But sometimes we have to redo orders several times to ensure it is done to her expectations, which is absolutely fair. She is the boss and it's not too often she does this. Anyways, on to the incident. I just learned that I am supposed to run a one-shot D&D session this weekend. Short notice. Have maps and everything to set up. It's a long story why this is last minute but doesn't pertain to the story. As a result, I quickly picked out one of the dungeons I ran in my regular Dungeons & Dragons group. A galleon ship trapped in time, where the players need to manipulate the environment to have the crew open or close doors, and turned it into a one-shot adventure. I call it The Time Between the Seconds. Since it was last minute, I didn't really have time to optimize maps, so I just sent the order through my job's online submission, with the intention to just print out a pixelated mess just for the sake of having visuals. It's the way I DM. I like having visuals for my players to help them envision the area. Today when I came in, I found the order I submitted and completed it quickly. Admittedly, it was a bit of a mess, and it didn't help that our color machine started leaking toner. Again, blue streaks on the paper and everything. Whatever. I am fine with it. An hour later, while I was working with posters, my manager, let's call her Kay, came into the room. She started. Kay holding up my order. What is this? Me. Oh, that's my job. I was. Kay interrupting. How can you say this is good? It's pixelated, and the machine dumped toner on it. Me. Kay. It's okay. I am. Kay interrupting again. It's not okay. You have to contact the customer and figure out how they want to proceed. Me sarcastically. Trust me. I'm sure the customer won't mind. Look at the customer name. Kay. It doesn't matter. I want you to see how they want to proceed. Think about what they want. Me sigh. Yes, Kay. Kay dropped the order in front of me and left the room. I considered my options for a moment and looked towards my dwindling workload. Screw it. Malicious Compliance number 1. I finished my assigned work and got to work on the maps. As I said, I didn't properly optimize them or anything, so I started working through the 511 by 17 maps I had, smoothing out the pixels. It took about an hour to get everything set up. Normally I work on a program other than Photoshop for my maps. After that I went through the character sheets, filling in any of the blanks I left in, such as personality, bonds, and gold. About 15 minutes. Then what about any random gear they may have? A big part of this one shot is their carrying weight, so I calculate those totals up. Another 20 minutes. About an hour and a half later I have the files up to the customer standards, which is mine, and I print them out again. But the toner dumping on the color printer is still an issue. So even though the files looked a lot better, there were still blue streaks in the paper. So when Kay saw it, Kay holding the completed order. Cole, what are you doing? You know the color machine is down. Me. I know. But I can't wait for the machine to be fixed. Kay considers for a moment before speaking. Call the customer and explain the issue. See if they will accept it half off. Me. That isn't needed cuz. K. Just do it. Me taking a deep breath. Stay here please. Malicious compliance number 2. I picked up the office phone, looked her dead in the eyes, and dialed the number on the order form. From my pocket the Silver Samurai theme from Phoenix Wright series began to chime. I take my phone out of my pocket and answer, immediately saying, yes, I will take half off my order. Kay was speechless, and just quietly walked out the door. To her credit, she did honor the half off she offered the customer. But perhaps next time she will actually let me finish what I am trying to say instead of constantly cutting me off. Don't get me wrong. Kay is a good person. But today was a harsh day on everyone since our machines are having issues. The only one who was able to get anything done was me since my printers, the wide format and the drafting machines, were working properly. I am sure tomorrow we will have a laugh over the situation, as the machines are fixed now and stress levels have lowered. Edit. Okay. A lot of people, and I mean a lot, have been messaging me about not the story itself, but the one shot. Okay guys. I am no Matt Mercer or anything, but I have a creative mind, so I'll share a little more. Essentially, the ship was involved in a massive catastrophe that affected large portions of my homebrew world. Palette. Magical nukes decimated regions in various ways, such as destroying all fauna, destroying and preventing any flora from blooming ever again. The withers. Just outright explosions. And in one region's case, trapped in an endless time loop, doomed to repeat the same month over and over again. The ship was stuck in this time bubble at the time of Ultima, and as such it too is stuck in an endless loop. The party won't be able to interact with basic things like doors and portholes because that would directly affect the time loop. But anything the party does can still affect the crew in general. Essentially, by interacting with things the crew is not interacting with, they can convince them the ship is haunted or similar circumstances, and get the crew to open the doors instead. The ultimate goal of the one-shot is to end the time loop. To do that, the players have to figure out they need to sink the ship, so that it never gets to the region where the time loop happened in the first place. This will save the crew of the ship. I hate it when people cut me off. It says what you have to say doesn't matter. My new manager did that a couple of times. The last time was in front of my team. When he finally stopped talking, I said, I'd prefer it if you me finish telling you something before you tell me I'm wrong. To his credit, he hasn't done it since. I have a guy at work who keeps cutting people off when they talk and I absolutely hate it. Bad luck, I'm his manager, and after numerous talks about this I'm kind of done with his behavior. Earlier this year he cut me off whilst I was explaining a task that needed to be done before I could explain the details of the customer's request. He just said, okay, I know what to do, turned around and got to work. I tried to re-engage explaining that this wasn't a standard project, but he just cut me off again. So I kept quiet, put the details of the mission in an email, knowing full well he wouldn't read it. 2 days later he checked in to have his work validated and request early customer feedback. As expected, his work didn't fit the requirements and he had to start over. I heard he ended up having to work overtime to get things right, which I truly think sucks but was absolutely deserved. We've talked about it since the event, as we weren't happy with the situation and he understands why I gave him some tough love. He still cuts people off as they talk, although he apologizes as he does it now, which baffles me. But at least he's paying more attention now whilst reading emails with project details. Baby steps. We'll get there eventually. Single quote. Nice. I love that there's no wrongdoing of any kind in this story. Just a manager not listening. If I might ask, are you using 5e? Or one of the older editions? Be sure to write a customer review of how stellar the service was. And how handsome the person who waited on you was. If applicable. Dash. When a customer calls, the call is coming from inside the shop. Kinda funny. But the call should have been at the first step. Are you paying for any of this or just using the equipment for yourself? I've had jobs where that would be fine, not stealing. I hope this turns into a funny story you share. You have a good boss. Honorable and loyal. I'll say it's a win-win for you and her. And remember, karma starts with K. Nice. Told a friend's kids one time that they have 2 ears and 2 eyes. But only 1 mouth. So they should listen and watch twice as much as they talk. Maybe this will help her learn to let others speak before going off. While this malicious compliance is pretty great, I'm way more invested in the one-shot. That sounds like a super dope adventure. Ha. I worked with a sign maker named Kay for a couple years. Last I heard she was in Toronto but could be anywhere by now. I miss that work a bit. I've actually been tempted to order some text cut in vinyl so I can weed it myself. One of my friends is dating a guy who will actively call out people for cutting others off. Doesn't matter who either party is or why. Unfortunately, for most of my life my family had cut me off mid-sentence. And I've become used to it. Though they have noticed recently that I don't like to have conversations with them. Pretty much my immediate family like to hear themselves talk. It can be interesting listening to them trying to speak over each other. When asked, I've always said I don't bother as I'm never going to be able to speak without them cutting me off. So what's the point engaging with them as a group in the first place? However, if you're speaking to only one at a time, we can get on well. But it's when they in a group when I get essentially left out. We need updates tomorrow lol. This was a good one. I never played D&D before, but I'm pretty sure I'd have fun playing with you as DM. I don't even care. Cut off or not, I'd continue what I was saying. Then again, in this event you was basically given paid, but dedicated time to your own creation because of her. Which wouldn't have happened otherwise if not for her actions. I work in a print shop too and am absolutely appalled at the amount of waste she's encouraging. Because of her fucking ego and perfectionist behavior. A tiny scratch on one poster and the entire job gets reprinted? What a whack job. Supply chain issues have caused us havoc this year and we've done some reprints, but you reach a certain point when you throw your hands up and push shit through for the sake of finishing a job and delivering product on time. You must miss lots of deadlines and not make much profit with the amount of product you go through. Bruh. Sod the MC. Tell me more about this D&D. I was considering making my ringtone the Steel Samurai theme as well.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.